Hi. I've been looking at the work of Marc Chagall, his wonderful, dreamy, whimsical landscapes, skyscapes, cityscapes, usually involving people, mythical beings, strange animals, wonderful things, the stuff of dreams. So what I'm going to do is create my own dreamscape inspired by a goddess. So I've been looking at the goddesses and I went to sleep and I let myself dream and I came up with Luna. I come up with Luna a lot, the goddess of the moon. And so I'm going to do a painting and I've been sketching out a very rough sketch here of a goddess as I see her. She's got a moon behind her, she's wearing a diadem. And I'm going to make it shades of blue. Sometimes Chagall does shades of blue for the sky, blue and white, clouds, wings. So I'm going to follow his example and try my own. So I'm going to do a Chagall dream-inspired dreamscape of the goddess Luna. And there's my sketch. Made marks all over it. So I'm just going to strengthen a couple of areas where there'll be a lot of shadow, just to remind myself. And I thought these areas here can be a lot darker. So I'm putting the shadows in early. There'll be shadows all of this area here. And then I'm going to go for shades of blue. And I'm going to use watercolour and gouache. I'm going to start with some gouache, which is thicker. But I really like, there's a shade of blue that I particularly like that's in this box. This is Caran d'Ache. I think I'll put my water on this side so it doesn't go all over. I love, 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 love this shade of blue. So I'm going to quickly do a background in this shade of blue. And then I'm going to work into it with some white to see if I can create a cloud effect. So I'm going to add the clouds on top of the blue. And I'm trying to work really quickly here so that the paint is still wet. So I can use some of the blue to bring into the white of the clouds to darken it and give it a bit of a shadow underneath. So it's very difficult to work quickly when you've got lots of little parts that need careful handling. But the shade of blue is just so beautiful. Absolutely love it. So once I've got the blue down, I'm then going to add some white. And I'm going to add it and then smudge it with my fingers to try and pick up some of the blue and just to make it look a bit distant. So there we go. And I always get my fingers stuck into the paintings or the palm of my hand. I can't resist it. But it's very handy to very handy to be able to do that, to just smudge it in and pick up some of that damp paint. And then I'm adding a bit of blue into the wings as well as shadow. I'll probably do 2 or 3 layers of colour on the painting, but it's nice to use some of the same colours all the way through just to tie it together. And this blue is very reminiscent of Chagall. He loved his blues and so do I. And I want to try and make the whole painting have a very nighttime look about it, but at the same time I want the goddess to stand forward. So I'm going to use some slightly warmer colours, warmer shades in the goddess. I've got these wonderful little, they were from Temu, they were a free gift from Temu when I bought something else. And they've got some wonderful iridescent qualities to them, shiny paints. So I'm going to use those quite a bit because she's a goddess and she needs to shine and glow. So I'm going to paint the moon behind the head with a ever so slightly warmer shade of white. And then I'm putting the iridescent white onto the wings and putting some of the shadows in with the blue, the shiny blue, and hopefully that will make it stand forward from the other blue of the nighttime sky. And then for the dress, I'm going to use a combination of bluey green and a silvery colour to try and combine it. So I'm doing all the shadows in blue, shades of blue, and it's the iridescent blue. And then over that I'm going to add the iridescent white, the shiny white, and hints of green. And then paint the rock in browns, which might be too warm compared to the rest of the blues. I'll have to wait and see what that looks like. And then if it is too warm, then I can grey it up a bit. And then I'm doing a sort of Farrah Fawcett style, 70s style hairdo for the goddess. And I'm painting that in a slightly warmer colour again, just so that it brings the head forwards. If it's too warm, then I will blue it up a bit, and will make it set back. So now I'm putting in the warmth of the rock, and it might be too warm. If it's too warm, then I will darken it and try and make it sink back, because I don't want it to have too much contrast. So there we go, making it a bit darker, and then I might put a bluish tinge over it as well. I'm a bit worried about that bit at the back. It doesn't look quite right, so I'm going to alter that and turn it into sky, I think, and it just comes up a bit too far at the back. So I'm darkening the rocks. I'm going to add a bit of blue afterwards, and then put some more blue into the sky and take away that section there at the back, which just doesn't seem to sit right with me. So here we go, get rid of that, and then put some blue on there. Trying again with a darker colour, but it just doesn't work, so cover it up with blue, and it's much better as a smaller rock. And then add a few clouds to cover over the dark aspect of it. And then there we go. So she's looking a little bit more 3D now, and so I'm going to add a bit of green to the dress, and then I'm going to leave it to dry, and then so that I can start again tomorrow and add more detail. But I can't really do that while it's wet, because any detail will start to fuzz outwards and disintegrate in the paint. So I'm going to wait until it's completely dry, and then add more detail afterwards. So here we go, a bit of flesh colour, a bit of warmth in there, but I may darken it to a blue later on. I'll add more blue shadows in there to make it sink back again, because I want it to have that link to Chagall's blues and nighttime, obviously. So bluing it down a bit, the hair, and off we go. So I'm going to try and put a few details in now. I've moved to a smaller brush, and I'm going to concentrate on the face and the skin, and then I'm just going to work around the body and try and make it look a bit more 3D. So I'm experimenting with different shades. I'm adding a bit more green. I thought we can't have it all blue. Chagall always had a few splashes of other colours in there, so I'm adding a little bit of pink and red for the lips and some of the skin areas, and which I'm going to lighten up again in a minute, because they're a bit too pink, and if she's out in the night sky all the time, she wouldn't be that pink. So I'm going to make the hair. First of all, I'm going to make it very warm colour to make it stand forwards, and then add some bluish silver highlights for the reflection of the moon. And I'm still toying with the idea of whether to make some rays come out of the moon or not. So I've added the diadem. So she's got a moon on her. I'm thinking, should I put some silver leaf on it? Putting some detail in the eyes and some shadows, and I just work over the whole thing step by step, bit by bit, depending on how it looks. I'm constantly just casting my eyes over the whole thing, thinking, does that work? Doesn't it? I'm actually now thinking the sky is a bit too pale. Those clouds are a bit too fluffy. They're quite abstract. So I'm thinking maybe I should darken the whole thing and do a dark wash on the background to make her come forwards. But I think instead I might just work on the skin, keep it slightly pink to make it come forwards, and then make the dress more colourful, a bit greener, I think. And so that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm adding all over, little bits here and there, just trying to improve. I think the hands are a bit big, so I was trying to reduce the size of those at the moment. And adding more shadows for depth, more highlights for contrast, and more green, more colour to the dress to make it stand forwards, because that green that I'm using has a slight yellowness to it, which is a warm colour, which will make it come forwards in the mix. And so instead of darkening the sky, I can make the dress have some slightly warm colouring in it, and that will bring it forwards. I was going to paint her in a blue dress, and I thought we can't have blue on blue on blue. So I've got the warmth in the skin, the warmth in the dress, and the warmth in the rocks. But most of the time, I would like people to look at the face, the wings, and the moon, and I would like that to be the thing that stands forward. So those very extreme whites are working, I think. I need to darken the base of the dress. I need to put shadows around the feet and around the base of the rock. Make it not so warm, not so brown. Maybe put a bit of darkness and greyness in it, and make the wings stand out a little bit more. So I'd like to darken the wings on the underneath, darken underneath her ears. And so the more shadows I add, the more contrast you create, and the more 3D it will look. And you can keep going and keep going and keep going until you've got that juxtaposition of colour just right. I don't mind if it doesn't look 100% 3D. She's not real. Well, maybe she is. Maybe she is. But I'm just trying to get down a representation of the goddess that I saw in my dream. So I think that's working. I'm happy with her as she is at the moment. I'm just finishing off a few finishing touches. I've put a gleam in her eye, a little white dot. I've made her eyes deep, deep blue, like the colour of the darkest parts of the sky, with a little white dot in the centre, just to give them a bit of sparkle and a bit of life. I've silvered up the wings, I'm silvering up the hair, and I'm going to put some silver in the dress, so we've got that celestial shimmer happening. And I also plan to sprinkle a few stars around. Now, I know they wouldn't be in front of the clouds, but it's my painting. So if I want them in front of the clouds, that's where they're going to be. I want to show that it's night sky, so they're just symbolic, really. So we're going to have some symbolic stars, darkening up the feet area there and making it stand out a little bit more. And then I'm going to sprinkle some stars, and then I'm going to leave it for a day, come back to it and have a look at it and think, is there anything else I can do? It's always good to either turn it upside down and look at it from a different perspective, or look at it on a different day with new eyes, new fresh eyes. And that's what I'm going to do next, and then it will be finished. And here she is, the finished picture. Well, finished for the moment anyway. There we go.